So we finally reached the last session of Yoga Vasistha. Congratulations. So let's start reading from page number 361. We'll read.
Rama asked, how does one tread the 7 states of yoga? And what are the characteristics of these 7 states? Vasistha continued, man is either world accepting, pravritta, or world negating, nivritta. The former questions, what is all this liberation? For me, this samsara and life in it are better, and engages himself in the performance of his worldly duties. After very many births, he gains wisdom. He realizes that the activities of the world are a meaningless repetition and does not wish to waste his life in them. He thinks, what is the meaning of all this? Let me retire from them. He is considered nivritta.
Okay. So the first one is nivritta. It's not even the beginning of spirituality. Get it? So that's why here pravritta and nivritta are at stage 0. So if you see stage 0 is pravritta, stage 0 is nivritta. You've not even started the path yet. Yeah? So when you are world accepting, means what? You are totally samsaric. There is no desire of walking the spiritual path at all. It hasn't even arisen. We are not there, but at least we should be aware that that is called pravritta. Cross that stage. If you have, please mark in your notes that you have crossed the stage of pravritta. In that stage, only samsara and life and people, situations, things are important. Nothing else is important. Yeah? He has not even begun the spiritual journey. That is pravritta. Now we come to nivritta. Yeah? Nivritta is, he has started realizing that this world is meaningless. Yeah? He has started realizing, I don't want to waste my time. Yeah? But he's not started the path yet. He just has that thirst, but then he keeps getting lost still in the world. But he started recognizing, no, there is no joy here. But like last week we discussed, no, you realize there is no joy here, but the ego says, oh, you built an empire. What about that? And then you keep going back. Are you getting this? So even if it is 1 step ahead, it's 2 steps back. So basically you've still not begun. Are you getting it? That's nivritta. Now world negating. If you have crossed that path, phase, that phase.
So they're going back and forward.
No, back and forward will again also happen, but that person is not starting the journey only. He or she is so involved in the samsara, he realizes it's futile, but there is no desire to transform himself or herself. No, the people and situations should change. Things should change. I will not change myself. There is no joy here, but still I will not change myself. What is spirituality? Where I change. I recognize all the cause of the chaos outside is not people, situations and things, but it is my mind. The moment I start recognizing it, then I start moving in that direction. Then only is there the first step that has happened. Are you understanding the difference between nivritta and the first step? So nivritta recognizes but is, no, I am not going to change. Yeah? Have you crossed that path? Nivritta? Where you feel that only the world is responsible for my dukkha. My mind is perfect. At the same time, he realizes it's pointless, but they should change. Yeah? 90% of India, with all their bhajans, kirtans, all those rituals, are stuck there. They think they've begun the spiritual path, but it's about people outside should become nice. So everybody here in this group should do seva, should do satsang, should be nice to each other, should talk all spiritual stories from the Bhagavatam. But I will not change myself as a person. There is no real thirst to move towards enlightenment. Are you getting this? What is enlightenment finally? My ego drops. That is not acceptable to the person. That is why he is still nivritta, stage 0. Super clear? Yeah? Stage 1 happens only when there is this first thirst of I have to change myself because the problem is. Super clear? Yeah? So if you reach stage 1, it is called Yoga Bhumika. We'll go ahead and get that.
How shall I cultivate this passion and thus cross this ocean of samsara? Thus he inquires constantly. Day by day, this thought itself generates dispassion in him, and there arise peace and joy in his heart. He is disinterested in the activities of the marketplace, but engages himself in meritorious activities. He is afraid to sin. His speech is appropriate to the occasion, soft, truthful, and sweet. He has set foot on the first Yoga Bhumika, state of yoga. He is devoted to the service of holy ones. He gathers scriptures whenever and wherever he finds them and studies them. His constant quest is the crossing of the ocean of samsara. He alone is a seeker, others are selfish.
Okay. Are you getting this? Stage 1 means seeking starts. Yeah? There is this desire that I am going to change myself. So, number 1, he is constantly thinking about how to cultivate this passion. Yeah, because he's understood there's lots of dukkha in these people, situations and things. But it is not in the people, situations and things, it is because my mind has got attached to this person, attached to this situation and attached to this thing. Oh, so the problem is here, not here. So because the problem is here, dispassion has to start towards people, situations and things because they are not going anywhere. They are going to be a part of my life. This understanding as self-understanding is that first desire for dispassion. How can dispassion arise? Have you reached this first stage? Do you have that thirst that dispassion should arise in me? Yeah? The daily thought itself leads to the development of dispassion. You check. Do you have a daily thought? Is it weekly or is it monthly or only quarterly when Ekta teaches knowledge sessions? Check. Is it a daily thought? These are very important statements. He would have not put them here otherwise. Yeah? A daily thought. This is the only thirst in me. Have you reached there yet? Yeah? So within Yoga Bhumika, you can say there are these 7, 8 steps. It starts with the thirst for dispassion, but then, it drops off. You go back to nivritta state. Again, you come back to the thirst for dispassion. Again, you go back to nivritta state. Are you getting it? So this shuttling can happen. Or your first stage of Yoga Bhumika, stage 1, can really blossom stronger and stronger. Once it becomes a daily thought, there's a disinterest in activities. Lots of people, especially from the Yoga Vasistha group, keep coming and asking me, oh my God, I've become disinterested. So what is this? Is it my ego, or is it depression? Do I need to go to a psychiatrist? No, you don't need to go anywhere. It's a very normal thing that happens on the path. Yeah? There's a disinterest in activities that you were doing before. Have you reached there? The third level, or the third stage of the first stage? You do them because it's your responsibility. You're not running away from work. You're not running away from your home responsibilities. But there is that non-attachment to them now. You're just working because you have to bring food to the table. You're not working because you're feverish about the name or fame or position you can get from that work. You're not feverish about that, whatever, 7-figure salary that you're dying for. There is no more running in the mind. You're just doing the activities because they are part of my karma. Have you reached there? Check. Fourth, such a person is afraid to sin. Afraid does not mean really fearful, but genuinely has no desire to do wrong. That kapti man, that drops off at Yoga Bhumika. Stage 1 only. Chhal kapat is no more of any interest to me. This is very important because lots of people, they think, oh, it's okay to do chhal kapat on the spiritual path and get my way out. No, you've not started the path yet. Forget about it. Are you getting it? So, they have this thing that I will not do any wrong karma. No wrong action shall happen through me. Their speech is soft. It's sweet. It's truthful. This is very straightforward, not much to explain. You check, have I reached there? And they are devoted to holy ones. Again, devoted does not mean you are sitting and doing puja of the holy ones all day, all night. Constantly a thirst to progress on the spiritual path is there. Yes? So you are constantly moving in the direction that the holy ones have suggested. Sages, saints, Ashtavakra, Vasistha, Patanjali, whoever clicked for you, Narada, whoever clicked for you. Their path you adopt and you're devoted to that path. And next, he gathers scriptures whenever and wherever he finds them. Are you like that? You find a scripture and you start. You just cannot stop yourself. Scriptures is not Gyan Yoga, just to let you know. Because Narada Bhakti Sutras is Bhakti. Yeah? Japji Sahib is Bhakti. Upanishads is Jnana. Patanjali is Karma Yoga. So it does not mean that it is the path of Jnana Yoga going behind scriptures. A natural thirst arises in every yogi of every path. Yeah, because they understand the scriptures were given by saints who attained the highest level on their own path, whichever works for them. So they want to understand it better. That's why the thirst is there. You check, do you have that kind of a thirst? Are you there? Yeah. And the last one is a constant quest. Not weekly, not monthly, yeah, not quarterly, but a constant quest. How to cross the ocean of samsara. Every word there is very potent. I told you, in this book, there are about 60 pages that are missing. Yeah. So it's been really shortened. So every single word here is very potent in this book. Super clear? So now you check, have you crossed Yoga Bhumika? Okay. He alone is the seeker. All others are selfish. You check, have you crossed stage 1 of Yoga Bhumika? Dvaitam is still there. I, you is still there. Yeah. There's still time to get to a level where he reaches Advaita. So Dvaitam is still there. We call this the waking state. We'll understand as we go. But have you crossed this? Take a moment, put it down.
To meet all, but it can be like some of them.
Some of them is good enough. We'll know when we go to the next one, if you reach the next one. Yeah, so obviously out of those 8, some might be 5%, 10%, some might be 100%. That's fine. At least it started. If there's anything 0% out of them, you go back to Nivrita. Yeah? Super clear? Can we go to the second state of Yoga Bhumika, stage 2?
He then enters the second state of yoga known as vichara, enquiry. He eagerly resorts to the company of holy ones who are well versed in the scriptures and in spiritual practices. He knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. He abandons evils like vanity, jealousy, delusion, and greed. From the preceptors, he learns all the secrets of yoga.
Okay. So here inquiry has begun. Yeah. Inquiry begins only after you do some amount of scriptures. Inquiry doesn't begin only without scriptures. You don't have that capacity to understand that I can be something other than the body and mind. So where is the question of inquiry to begin? Cannot begin, no? So with Ashtavakra, with Patanjali, with Upanishads, you start recognizing, oh, I have a body, I am not the body. Oh, I have a mind, I am not the mind. When this starts, little seeds are planted through the scriptures, slowly when you become well versed in them, the inquiry starts happening. It must have happened to most of you, where you start recognizing, who am I then? If I'm not this thought, and I can see this thought, I can see this emotion come and go, then who am I? A very natural thing starts happening. So you check, have you started this part of it? Did inquiry automatically start? That is the second state of yoga, vichara or inquiry. On a side note, there is a different marg called vichara marg, which is the direct path. Is it? Yes. It's by Ramana Maharshi. It is the Advaita Vedanta, and that direct path is for people who have practiced for years and years and years and reached the levels of high viveka, high vairagya, and are almost like right at that threshold, but they just need a little push. And that is what Vichara Marga does. Yeah. So we are not yet talking about that level. I explained that to tell you that this Vichara state is different from Vichara Marga. Okay? This is just the beginning of inquiry, which naturally happens because you started your process of scriptures and walking the spiritual path. And when one is here, he resorts to the company of holy ones who are well versed in the scriptures. Has this become a very important part of your life? You check. Yeah. So if this first point where you're well versed in scriptures and you eagerly resort to company of holy men. He knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. What does this mean? What does this mean? Do you know what is to be done, what is not to be done?
Confusion.
Viveka is super strong. What is Viveka? The power of discrimination. Being able to discriminate between this is wrong and I will never be able to go to this wrong side. I will not do this. And very clear cut understanding this is the right path. Are you super clear cut about your spiritual path? Are you sure you understand it without a doubt? If there are doubts about the spiritual path, you cannot reach this stage. Are you understanding this? You can have doubts about another technique or another master or a person, but doubt about spirituality as a whole and whether I should walk this path or not, that initial wala doubt jo hota hai, that is completely eradicated by this stage. There is no question about it. There is nothing like, oh, I'm still enjoying the samsara, let me enjoy the samsara. That doubt is not there. He's super clear. No, my path is the spiritual path. By this stage, there's no two ways about it. Have you reached there? You check. And make your notes in whether you have reached there. So you should know. And in continuation of that second point only is the third point, where he abandons jealousy, vanity, delusion and greed. Completely. Yeah? Not that it will not come up. It will come up because of some past samskara. Yeah? You were jealous in the past, in the childhood and teenage. So that little samskara of yours comes up. Very naturally it comes up. But he recognizes, this is not my path anymore. And I should not indulge in this jealousy or take action for this greed that has come up or this delusion. And most of the times he succeeds in letting it go, dropping it. Sometimes, of course, he slips because he's still not reached the highest stages of yoga. But at least he has understood very clearly that chal kapat, cunning, shrewdness, doing wrong is not something that is going to take me up. Are you super clear about this? And super clear that that is not the way I go. Come what may, even if I have to lose something, lose a person, lose a situation. Do you have that determination? You check. Only when you are ready to give up anything for being clean and pure, free from greed, jealousy, delusion, vanity, etc., then only can you rise higher from this stage. Yeah. And this last point in this stage is from preceptors, he learns the secrets of yoga. There's a difference between learning and just attending for the sake of, I have attended 2 years of Yoga Vasistha. Let me go ahead and finish this. But I have done 3 years of Yoga Vasistha. I'm almost at the end. Let me just go and finish this. Is it like that? Or is there this true thirst that I really want to learn the secrets of yoga? Again, yoga is not the postures. Yoga is being established in that isness. Yeah? That self disassociates from the mind and just becomes established in itself. That is union. That is why it is called yoga. union. Super clear? Now check. Have you crossed this stage?
So, is it possible that you touch that stage and keep going back, or once you reach this stage, there's no going back to stage 1 and zero?
You will have certain samskaras of the past pull you. That's okay. You go for some time, again you come back. Again you go, again you come back. You will know the percentage of how much it is. Yeah? So you check. You can write down percentages next to the 4 points if you want. So you are clear where you are. Again, don't fool anyone. It's not about how much marks you're going to get here. It's not an examination. Yeah? There's no competition. It will just help you understand where I am lacking and where I need to make a little more effort. Okay, can we go to the third stage of yoga?
Easily thereafter, he graduates to the third state of yoga known as asanga, non-attachment or freedom. He roams the forests in seclusion and strives to quieten the mind. Adherence to the scriptures and to virtuous conduct bestows upon him the faculty of seeing the truth. This non-attachment or freedom is of two types, the ordinary and the superior. One who practices the first type of freedom feels, I am neither the doer nor the enjoyer. I neither afflict others nor am I afflicted by others. All this happens on account of past karma, under the aegis of God. I do nothing whether there is pain or pleasure, good fortune or calamity. All these, as also meeting and parting, psychic distress, and physical illness, are brought about by time alone. Thus thinking, he investigates the truth. He is practicing ordinary non-attachment or freedom.
Okay, so let's just discuss the ordinary part of the third state of yoga. Yeah, it's called Asam Sangha. Asam Sangha is non-attachment or freedom. Yeah. Now, in olden days, they used to roam the forests and for seclusion. You would not roam the forest for seclusion, but if you were given a choice, would you like to live all alone like this or in a house where there are people, you would choose being by yourself. Naturally, not because you're averse to people, but because the seclusion gives you that chance to go within and just be with yourself. A natural disinterest that had developed in the earlier stage has turned into dispassion very easily for you. Be very clear, there is no aversion in this. Yeah? There is absolutely no aversion. And he strives to quieten the mind. If you see that, that is the reason for his seclusion. It is not to avoid samsara, but it is just with that one little propelling factor which is natural in him. It propels him to just go within again and again and again and dissolve in the self. Do you have that in you? Check. Do you still treat spirituality as a party place? Potluck ke liye jana hai, enjoy karna hai, I have to meet this person, I have to talk to that person. Is that the reason why you come to the spiritual sangha? Or is your reason really just deepening into this, the truth about your own self? Adherence to the scriptures and to virtuous conduct bestows upon him the faculty of seeing the truth. Yeah? Automatically this will start happening to you. You will start seeing the truth just because of the scriptures, just because you are adhering to the truth. This non-attachment or freedom is of two types, ordinary. Now let's look at what is the ordinary type. The ordinary is the first type. I am neither the doer nor the enjoyer. I neither afflict others nor am I afflicted by others. And all this is happening on account of past karma. Have you reached this stage? Yeah. You check, you put your whatever percentage. Have you reached this stage where you feel that everything is happening on account of karma? I am not the doer. I am not the enjoyer. In this only, if you started, then the higher journey is of I do nothing whether there is pain or pleasure. People can be stuck between these two stages. They understand I'm not the doer, I'm not the enjoyer. Yeah, but the moment there is pain and pleasure in life, there is automatic attachment. Oh, see, I did this. I am so good. Then something good happens. And when there is pain, they blame themselves. See, I could have done this better. Again, this is attachment. So basically, somewhere you started the journey and you couldn't progress higher. You got stuck in something. Are you stuck? Check. All these, as also meeting and parting, psychic distress and physical illness are brought about by time alone. Thus thinking, he investigates the truth. He is practicing the ordinary non-attachment. See, if you're still stuck somewhere at these points, you are still at ordinary. You have not reached the superior non-attachment. Yeah? So you check. Are you still stuck at ordinary? Then we move on to the superior non-attachment.
Vasistha continued, by the diligent practice of this yoga method, by resorting to the company of the holy ones and the avoidance of evil company, the truth is clearly revealed. When thus one realizes the supreme, which is the only essence or truth beyond this ocean of samsara, he realizes, I am not the doer, but God alone is the doer. Not even in the past did I do anything. He abandons vain and meaningless words and remains inwardly and mentally silent. This is superior non-attachment or freedom. He has abandoned all dependency above and below, within and without, tangible and intangible, sentient and insentient. He shines like supportless and limitless space itself. This is superior freedom. In it, he enjoys peace and contentment, virtue and purity, wisdom and self-enquiry.
So, now going higher with the diligent practice of course, what he was already doing, yoga, resorting to the company of the holy ones, and avoidance of evil company. This is very important. Do you avoid evil company? Or do you say, okay, chalta hai, it's okay if he or she is around? Yeah? Or do you avoid? Such a person is so clear about his inner purity. He understands, I am that little flame, that one little wind and I can start flickering and shaking. So I need to protect myself. Yeah? It's not about being averse to that negative person or negative situation, but it is complete focus on I myself. That's it. Just like a mother, protects her child. There is no aversion to neighbors or friends or people around. No, her full focus is just the child. Correct? Like that only. The full focus is this little inner baby of spirituality born inside you, which is growing up. So you are protecting that little flame, which means you fiercely avoid evil company. You're very, very strict about it. Which means if you have to cut off relationship with a near and dear one, you would do it. That's what the Buddha did. He dropped everything. He was so clear, my path is to find how to reach that inner truth and get rid of this dukkha. Which meant my wife is dukkha, my child is dukkha, my kingdom is dukkha, this kingship, this money, riches, all this is dukkha. And he was very clear about it. And he could just cut it out, even if it was just for that little amount of time where he needed to go within and find the truth. Do you get it? Why this is called superior non-attachment? That kind of determination to be able to cut out evil company and just go within. Do you have it? This is the stage where Gautama was when he left home. Are you getting it? When he was ready to just cut out everything. And we don't even have that kind of money and that kind of kingdom and that kind of, the power of a king. We have one little house. The power is only inside that one little house. You're that big king. And there also you have so much, ego about that one house. Can you drop your house? Chalo, nothing else. Can you just walk away from your house? Mortgage नहीं भरना पड़ेगा. वैसा वाला नहीं. Fully paid off house. Fully paid off house. Can you walk away from it? Just for your own inner quest. Is it that strong? You check. If you can, then you have reached this stage. The stage is of superior dispassion. It's not ordinary. Only by this kind of superior dispassion can truth be clearly revealed. And when thus one realizes the Supreme, which is the only essence or truth, beyond this ocean of samsara, he realizes, I am not the doer, but God alone is the doer. What is the difference between ordinary wala saying, I am not the doer, and the superior saying, I am not the doer?
Surrender.
God has come into the picture now. There was no surrender before. There was I, and I dropped I. Are you seeing this? So there is a mini I somewhere. Yeah? Now, God is the doer. There's complete surrender. That is why we say, Gyan Yogi also comes to bhakti in the end. He has to surrender. And he realizes, even in the past, I didn't do anything. He abandons vain and meaningless words and remains inwardly and mentally silent. Have you reached there? Very, very important state. Very important state. Buddha would not speak unnecessary words. Do you speak for the sake of speaking? Do you speak to show I am somebody in the room? Do you speak just for the sake of fake conversation, gossip, on and on and on? Or can you just contain your own self? Sometimes we cannot contain our own selves and we are spilling on others. People are not really interested in our conversation when we go on and on and on from outside. We're not talking anything sensible. We're talking absolute meaningless rubbish most of the time. Have you reached this stage? This is very important. If silence of the words does not happen in life, inner silence cannot happen. Very, very clearly stated in each and every scripture. Yeah? If silence of the lips does not happen, inner silence cannot happen. This is superior non-attachment or freedom. He has abandoned all dependency above and below, within and without, tangible and intangible, sentient and insentient. Yeah, he has abandoned all dependency. Again, this is very important. What is the meaning of abandoning dependency? Till the time you say, I need you to live, you are dependent. Are you understanding this? That you can be a person, can be a particular situation. I need this kind of power, this kind of name, fame, status in society, whatever situation, financial ability, stability. Yeah? And it can be a thing. Can't be without my phone. Yeah? This dependency is the last crutch. And this is where sannyas started in the ancient times. So if you have reached superior non-attachment, people would drop everything, just have that orange color robe and one bowl for food, begging, and take their chadi and leave, or water and leave. That's it. This means no dependency. So sannyas had a meaning. Leaving the house and going had a meaning. Yes. So I'm not telling you, I'm not advocating that you leave your house and go, but mentally you check how much dependency is there on people's situations and things. I need you to live. I need it to exist is dependency.
So in the Jain religion, you have Diksha. Even kids take Diksha.
Yeah.
But do they understand the meaning of this when they take
It's
this?
become ritualistic, no?
I mean, that's the actual thing, right? Taking Diksha.
Correct. Exactly, that's the meaning. That I'm dropping this dependency and there's only one I'm going to depend on. That God. That's it. The name or the chant or whatever you do after that. That's all I'm going to depend on. That is the meaning of that God, really. So recognize it. You don't have to get into the ritualistic form. But on the spiritual path, a natural loss of dependency happens. Loss means falling off of dependency. That falling off of that need to depend on something or someone happens. This is a very supreme state, huh? Though it's just number 3, you feel 7 kya hoga? Yeah? So most of us are not there yet. Are you getting it? Yeah. So on this only there are levels, and the higher level is where all the dependency drops. Happens in stages. For some of us, few things dependency has dropped. Yeah? But few things are still remaining. Maybe your closest person, your spouse, your parent or your child. You know, those are the last ones to drop off. So recognize, take a moment to list your dependency.
It could be subtle also, right? Like, especially being in this country, my entire career is in this country only. That is a subtler level of dependency, right?
Absolutely. Situation. My visa situation in this country. It's finished. I'm going to die. My whole existence is gone. My sand castle is going to break. Very nice example. check. There are these subtle ones that you hold on to.
A lot of times you think you have given up or you have let go of something or that is not bothering you anymore. But until unless you come in a situation where you really don't have that anymore, like for example money, you don't have it anymore. That is when it actually you can see whether
you have the attachment or not yet. Perfect example. So you check, list down your dependencies. Take a moment. And the highest part of this third state is he shines like supportless and limitless space itself. This is superior freedom. Absolutely supportless. This was the true meaning of becoming a recluse. No support. So, I forget the name of the fakir. It was a fakir story in which he used to, whatever he used to earn in that day, he used to just, whatever, cut wood or little job, and whatever he used to earn in that day, he used to eat, he used to feed his wife, his child, and in the evening, whatever money was left, he would give it to the poor people. And he would sleep penniless. And his wife used to always worry. What if tomorrow morning he is sick and he cannot go to work and there is no food? Every night we sleep penniless. And he would do that every day. He would get up, he used to work, he used to eat from that money, whatever he got. He used to feed his wife and child. And by evening, whatever was left, even it was 10 paisa in those times, the 10 paisa he would go and give some poor man and sleep penniless. And he used to sleep a sound sleep, absolutely like a baby. So one night, he lied down. According to him, he had given everything. And he could not sleep. He was turning right, turning left, turning right. And then he got up and he was like, I don't know why I cannot sleep. And then he looked at his wife. Have you saved some money? She was like, yeah, just 1 paisa I have hidden under this, carpet. He said, right now go and give it to the poor man outside. I need to sleep. That is completely supportless. Are you getting it? This is that supreme state where you are ready to go now, where Jiveshna has also dropped in. The story is a very high level story in the Sufi scriptures, where you have given up your last desire to even exist. No desire to even exist anymore. No desire to keep this body going. No desire that tomorrow what will happen to this body. He is there, he'll take care of it. His problem, he got me here. His problem, he'll get me out. There's actually a very beautiful saying that I am not here of my own accord. The one who got me in will get me out. That supreme level of dispassion. So recognize, if you have the true thirst for enlightenment, without this stage, you cannot go ahead. Are you seeing this? So I know we are 0% at that level, maybe 0.5%, but not more. Yeah. So that is where we might have to reach if we really want to progress higher from here. Yeah. In it he enjoys peace and contentment, virtue and purity, wisdom and self-inquiry. All this will happen automatically as a end product of this stage. Super clear? The first three stages? Most of us are here only. We have not crossed this. Yeah? So the rest, the higher stages, we will just learn because that is probably our path. We will have to get there one day. Yeah?
The first stage of yoga presents itself to one by accidental coincidence, as it were, after one has led a pure life full of virtuous deeds. One who sets his foot on it should cherish it and protect it with great zeal, diligence, and effort. Thus, he should proceed to the next state, enquiry. By diligently practicing enquiry, he should ascend to the third state, freedom.
Okay. Got it, no? He's just kind of giving a recap. For him, he's very clear that the people who are reading this have hardly started. So he's very clear. Yeah, from that first stage of accidental coincidence, go to inquiry. From inquiry, move to freedom. Clear? Okay.
Rama asked, how is it possible for an ignorant person born in a wicked family and who does not enjoy the company of holy ones to cross this ocean of samsara? Also, if one dies while yet in the first or second or the third state of yoga, what happens to him?
Very valid question. We also want to know. Okay.
Vasistha said, after very many lives, the ignorant man is awakened by accident, coincidence. Till then, he experiences this samsara. When dispassion arises in his heart, then samsara recedes. Even an imperfect practice of this yoga destroys the effects of past sins. If one leaves the body during the practice, he ascends to heaven and is then born in circumstances favorable to the pursuit of his practice. Very soon he ascends the ladder of yoga again. These three states are known as waking state because in them there is division in consciousness. However, the practitioner becomes an adorable person, Arya. Seeing him, the ignorant are inspired. He who engages himself in righteous actions and avoids evil is adorable, Arya. This adorable holiness is in a seed state in the first state of yoga, it sprouts in the second, and attains fruition in the third. One who dies after thus having gained the status of an adorable one and who has obviously cultivated noble thoughts enjoys the delights of heaven for a long time and then he is born as a yogi. By the diligent practice of the first three states of yoga, ignorance is destroyed and the light of wisdom arises in one's heart.
Very clear? Yeah. So first of all, it happened by accident coincidence. We have passed that stage already. Yeah. The first, second, and third. You see of percentages where you are at what stage. You will have a good birth, definitely. Means what? You will come back into a place or state or in a circumstance where you can meditate, where parents push you onto the path, where everybody around you is on the path, you'll automatically go deeper. Your whole life stream moves in that direction. Yeah? Before coming to this body of a yogi, you will obviously enjoy heaven. Now, where is heaven in the sky? No, he was very clear. It's just a long time with a very peaceful and calm, relaxed mind rather than an agitated mind. Just a happy state of mind, a very long time. And then you will come back into the body of a yogi and you will continue from there. Yeah, one very important thing in the middle of the last but one paragraph. Even an imperfect practice of this yoga destroys the effects of past sins. Yeah? Highlight this. Most of us feel that, oh, I'm not perfect. I've not done that point perfectly or that other point perfectly. Yeah? That's okay. Even an imperfect practice of it, at least you started working on yourself. You started walking the path. It's good enough. Stop beating yourself up. Most of us beat ourselves up. Oh, I'm so bad. She's better. He's better. I am not good. Drop that. Yeah? Because you don't know, his ghada of sins might be so big, yours is just this much. That's fine. We don't know how big our ghada is, so do not start judging, comparing, and beating yourself up on the path. Yeah? So this is like a relief for all of us. Even an imperfect practice of yoga is good enough. In the next paragraph, who is an Arya? These three states are known as waking state because in them there is division in consciousness. I explained this to you. There is still I and you. It is still there in you? Good. So that means you have the potentiality of even mastering the third stage. Yeah, there is division of I and you. So drop this thing, that subtle thing that came up in your mind. Oh, I will not be able to drop dependency in this lifetime. I will never be able to become the master of the third stage. Drop this from your mind. It's another block your own ego is creating for you. Yeah? Drop that block completely. Recognize it is possible for me to get there very easily. Yeah? And there is division in consciousness, which I still am I and you. Okay, that's fine. However, the practitioner becomes an adorable person or Arya, even despite this I and you. Are you seeing this? Only because of your earnestness, your sincerity, your practice, and again and again, going back to the scriptures. Seeing him, the ignorant are inspired. He who engages himself in righteous actions and avoids evil is adorable. That is the definition of Arya. Yeah? One who is engaged only in righteous action. And second, avoids evil. These are the two main factors for gaining that level of Arya. So homework for you. Are you Arya? How close are you to Aryaship? Anyway, this adorable holiness, he says, is a seed. And that seed state is the first state of yoga. Second state is the sprout. And the third is the fruition. Yeah? So at least you're in a seed state, Arya. Hannah? Never beat yourself up on this path. If you beat yourself up, you will be an obstacle on your own path. You get it? Whatever little solace you get from these words, okay, I'm in the seed state, Arya. Fantastic, good job. Pat yourself on the back. Move ahead. Yeah? I can get better than this. I can get better than this. Do you get this? Yeah? No beating yourself up. Not allowed. One who dies after thus having gained the status of an adorable one and who has obviously cultivated noble thoughts enjoys the delights of heaven for a long time and then he is born as a yogi. By the diligent practice of the first three states of yoga, ignorance is destroyed and the light of wisdom arises in one's heart. Super clear? First three states? And have you made your notes and percentages? How much, where you were?